I'm Matthew McConaughey, and tonight I'll be reading a special sleep story called Wonder. Before we begin, as you settle in under the covers with your head easing into the pillow and your body sinking into the mattress, I'd like you to let your mind drift with me for just a minute. Let's ask the question: how often do we ponder the depth of the present moment, the one we're in? I mean, how often do we really feel what's happening within and around us? Allowing ourselves to be moved, to be inspired, to be filled with gratitude for the mystery and the beauty of this universe and of this life.
Damn, that's deep as hell.
Yeah.
Cyrus
I'm sorry, I fell asleep.
Those mysteries.
He kind of has like that Christopher Walken like tone where it's like he doesn't really understand, like it's like he doesn't understand what words mean, but he's pretty good at like faking it.
It's like he's speaking a foreign language. Like English is foreign to him. Like he knows what the words are.
Yeah, but he can pronounce it perfectly.
Right.
Yeah, that's okay. We agree on that then.
I would like to hear him read Mama Makes Up Her Mind.
Yeah.
After this is over, if I'd never have to think or see or hear anything about this book ever again, I will be.
Save it for the club.
Well, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, but we're in cold open territory right now. We haven't started.
Well, cold open better get out of the way because these takes are coming in hot.
Okay. Okay.
All right, well.
All right, cue music.
So glad that my eye rolling is like retroactively justified.
You were worried that like you rolled your eyes at a masterpiece?
Yeah, no, not really, but
yeah, like why would you care? We've established you're a Philistine, so why would you care?
I enjoy being right about things. I like that my intuition is enough. Like, I don't have to even read books. I can just hear the name of them and the author's name and possibly see a cover and know that's gonna blow dicks.
Somebody, a friend of mine had posted on social media once that kind of attitude is reactionary, and you need to kind of resist like going into something hating it before you even know anything about it. It's and it's basically a reactionary way to approach things.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't change your mind?
I'm much like Mama when I make up my mind.
Okay.
I'm going to give me some smoked mullet.
Well, why don't you, that conch that you have, why don't you give that to Elijah and let him get the ball rolling?
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Book Club, the podcast. It's been a couple of weeks. I'm here with my siblings. Go ahead, guys.
I am Dylan.
I'm Ansel.
And this week we are just coming down off of a Matthew McConaughey-induced sleep high. And we were reading a Southern novel by Miss Bailey White. Name of the novel was... Wait, what's the name of this novel, Dylan?
It's Mama Makes Up Her Mind and Other Dangers of Southern Living.
Ah, thank you. Other Dangers of Southern Living. I chose this book to get out of my my habit of choosing white male authors. I chose a very white female author. I do like I do like Bailey White. She's frequently on NPR, reading snippets of her own work. And that's how I came to know who she was as an author. But, yeah, that stuff was funny. And I'll just throw it over to you, Dylan. What'd you think of the book?
Well, before we go any further, Goodreads is just going to sum it up for us. This has 3.96 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. In this national bestseller, Bailey White, whose accounts of Southern eccentricity have enchanted millions of listeners to national public radio, offers a humorous, touching, story-filled memoir. Story-filled, real, of her home in South Georgia. But yeah, that's a brief synopsis. Now what was your question, Elijah?
What did you think of the book?
Oh, it is not a good book. It is in fact a very bad book.
Any particular reasons you found it to be a not good book?
Well, so the book is basically a collection of little vignettes, like sometimes like no longer than a page, that have there's no plot, there's no narrative. It's just like these little snippets of complete and utter bullshit. Like it's sold as nonfiction. These people do not exist. Like this is all made up. It's clearly bullshit. No one is this fucking eccentric. Okay. and she, every single one, she sums it up with like this really like, I don't know, like she tries to tie it together and tries to make a point, but it's just asinine. There are examples that I will get to, but usually like the last line is, it tries to like kind of do a little wink wink nudge nudge, but no, it's not funny, and it's just bad and boring. It's way too long. It was like 100 pages. Yeah, it was awful. It's probably the worst book I've read on Book Club. Like I feel bad about As I Lay Dying at this point. Like at least As I Lay Dying had a plot. Like this is basically the same thing, but there's even less of a point to it. And also it says other dangers of Southern living. It left out some really key dangers of Southern living. We can get into that later. It's just I did not have a good time with Mama Makes Up Her Mind. What about you, Ansel?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was really just fine. I wasn't crazy about it, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Like I liked how she wrote these vignettes, and like I'd never heard of her on NPR like ever. So I guess, or maybe I wasn't paying attention, or I just don't know. Maybe they didn't play it in my market, but yeah, I guess it makes sense that like if she read her work, and like it makes sense that these would be like sort of radio spots.
Yeah,
it makes sense, but it doesn't really matter. I liked that they were kind of like just these snapshots of what I assumed was a fictional account of her childhood. Like you said, it's like this is the eccentricities were pretty.
But I'm not wrong though. It tries to sell itself as nonfiction.
Does it really? I mean, I didn't know. I didn't read the cover even. I just but yeah, it was fine. I liked. Yeah, it was. I think it was a good memento to her childhood, and you know my complaints about it are about like how it was written or like the writing style. The only main complaint I have is that it was just just kind of painfully white. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's it. That's what I thought.
All right, very good. I was not impressed. And this is the Bailey White novel of Bailey White novels. Like this is her big one, the one everyone suggests when you talk about reading Bailey White. This is not nearly as funny as any of the things she did on NPR. And
okay, yeah,
I find that easy to believe, but also hard to believe at the same time.
Well,
hard
yeah,
to believe that she was ever funny on NPR.
Yeah.
Well, I was fairly disappointed by this because it's not at all funny. I agree with Dylan there. I also agree with Ansel. It's fine, just fine. I don't feel like I've wasted time reading it. I am not 100% sure that it isn't factual. I don't see why anyone would embellish. However, everyone has their own memories of childhood, or it's funny the way memory sort of turns out more eccentric in the end. So I don't know. I would cautiously call bullshit on it. I wouldn't.
Well, I'll tell you this: there's no 90-year-old woman that sleeps on a bed on a porch that refers to flowers only by their Latin names. Like, that person does not exist.
Why is that such a stretch?
I have lived in the South all my life. That person does not exist.
Well, yeah. She's like she was raising fleas in the kitchen for like doing research on poisonous herbs or something like that. Yeah, that seemed
That seems like
strange credulity.
That seems like a handy excuse for having fleas in the kitchen.
If it's not complete bullshit, like, it runs the gamut from minor embellishment to extreme embellishment. I do not buy for a second that this is in any way, shape, or form nonfiction.
Well, I guess that would take a lot of the fun out of it right there if you don't buy into it.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
I agree.
Yeah, so, I mean, I like I said, I felt like it was a fictionalized, like an impressionistic sort of retelling.
It's non-representational.
Kind of like A Million Little Pieces, like the guy who
he was on some other book club.
I think so. I think he had something to do with maybe a lesser book club.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of got raked over the coals for embellishing it.
Yeah.
I think his name was Jonathan Frey, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, so what?
Mhm.
I want it to be interesting, and I feel like I like the structure, because I feel like she had the good sense to not take one of these stories and try to make a novel out of you know what I mean. She it's a page or 2 pages, and that was and then you move on to the next one. It was a good. It was like flipping through a photo album or something like that of the weirdest family. I mean, it's kind of interesting that way, but
Yeah, that's a good analogy. I think in the beginning it starts with her childhood and her father up and leaving, and but then there doesn't seem to really be any order to it after that. It sort of loses the thread of any sort of chronological narrative that maybe it was trying to get with and maybe it didn't. And then she doesn't mention until the end that she's a first grade teacher, really. I mean, you don't get that till the last 5 or 6 little snippets. But she talks a lot of her sister and her mother. And there's not a lot to talk about with this book, to be honest.
Well, I was thinking that since the vignettes are so short, we can give a sample for the readers and let the readers decide. And
I like it.
I've got pulled up here. This is the very first story in the book, called Rosie's, and I'll just read this for the listener. It's 2 pages, so buckle in. It's you paid for a full seat, but you're only gonna need the edge with this one. All right, so this is Rosie's from Mama Makes Up Her Mind by the Bailey White.
The Bailey White?
The Bailey White. Now, the other day, Mama made up her mind she wanted some smoked mullet. Does this mean we have to go down to Rosie's? I asked. Yep, she said. Now, Rosie's is a tough juke joint out on the edge of the marsh in an old-fashioned part of Florida.
You're doing a fake Southern accent.
Tourists don't go there. They've got more sense.
You're doing like a Kevin Costner JFK accent when you know good and damn well how to do a Southern accent. Do it right.
Now, at Rosie's, you never. This is South Georgia, though.
Well, I mean,
This is Old South. This isn't Alabama, Mississippi, Southern.
Okay.
It's South Georgia, okay? Now, at Rose's, you never know whether you're drunk or not because the floors wave up and down anyway. The foundations are sagging. You can eat inside if you can take the smoke, or you can eat outside and throw your fish bones down to some rough-looking pelicans what squat like vultures under the porch.
It does not say what squat. It says who squat.
I take a little bit of artistic license. Okay. Now, Ernest Hemingway went there once, but the atmosphere was too much for him. I don't like to go to Rose's. I'm always afraid some of those people shooting pool in the back will think I'm the one who chose that goofy song what's playing on the jukebox. Put down the pool cues and beat me up. But Mama doesn't notice. She just likes the smoked mullet. Now, we sat inside that day. I was afraid Mama might lose her balance on the porch, tip off the edge, and get eaten up by them there pelicans. I crept up to the counter to order. I kept my head down and tried not to swing my arms. "One order of smoked mullet and one unsweet iced tea, please," I said. Rosie flung the mullet onto a plate, then lifted the scum off the top of the tea with one finger and flicked it on the floor. "Don't get much orders for iced tea," she said. Now, Mama ate her mullet, and I drank my tea. Now, pretty soon I had to go to the bathroom. There was a sign that said restrooms over 2 doors. One of the doors said men, and the other one said men. I didn't like to ask. "I'll ask," said Mama, and she headed up to the counter. Now, when Mama starts to move across the room, people pay attention. You can never be sure she's not going to grab you by the top of the head to steady herself, and she's pretty free with that walking stick, too. Now, the room grew quiet. I don't know whether it was the faltering gait or the look in her eye or the mismatched safety pins holding her glasses together or the Band-Aid with the Sesame Street characters on it on her arm, but by the time she got to the counter, everybody was watching. "Where's the bathroom?" she said. "The women's bathroom." She paused. "My daughter," she pointed with a walking stick. "My daughter wants to know." And thus concludes the story Rosie's from Mama Makes Up Her Mind and Other Dangers of Southern Living by Bailey White.
With you reading it, I get an image that I didn't get when I read it, but it's like Mama is wearing like a Tasmanian Devil T-shirt with a bunch of holes in it, and like sweatpants and like mismatched flip flops.
Yep.
So it's a lot like trashier when you read it. Anyway. I have one I can read. Or I guess we should comment maybe on yours first. Yeah, it's fine. It's like after you work a 12-hour day and you're driving home, that's the kind of stuff you want to hear. You don't want to hear no Kesha or Florence and the Machine. Faux out of here.
That's a very strange pairing you picked there. I will remind you, this is a book that is read, and it's not something that is listened to.
Well, that's her style, though, and like that's her. This is her medium.
But like that little story it's just completely pointless. Like they go to this dirty ass bar and get some smoked mullet.
It's a portrait of her mother, like in the way that she knows it, in her medium. That's what that is, and it's charming. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, I don't know.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah,
it's a waste of time.
Well, like everything's a waste of time. Like, what isn't a waste of time? You could argue that anything's a waste of time.
No, if you're reading this book and you enjoy it, then it's not a waste of time. But for me personally, I need something to be entertaining and not just somebody talking about their mother.
Well, what do you think about that, Elijah? What say you?
Excuse me there. I don't know. I liked your take on it being just a quick portrait, a quick snippet. I will say that she doesn't speak with a Southern accent. She's an educated woman. She doesn't sound at all like that, Dylan.
Well, now
How dare you? How dare
now-
you, sir? How dare you?
Well, if you go into the much prestiged study halls of Duke University, you will find many learned men who speak with a Southern accent.
Can you name two?
You've got Mike Krzyzewski,
Doesn't speak with a Southern accent.
Not at all.
Shane Battier.
Who's Shane? I know this name. Who is he?
He's a basketball player from Duke.
Oh, okay.
He has a bald head, kind of weirdly shaped head. Could take a charge like nobody else.
He didn't speak with a Southern accent though.
It's fun.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I have a good one. This is
I knew
probably my
Dylan. I knew
favorite
Dylan was gonna hate this book when I picked it.
story. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, me too.
you can't please everybody.
I didn't
don't
hate
see-
it. I didn't
Yeah,
hate
I
it.
didn't hate it either. It's fine. Like I'm never gonna seek this out. I mean, eventually we'll get to all of her other books in the book club anyway because we're gonna read all the books. But yeah.
I'm starting to like back away from that. Like I
After
don't
this
think
one?
I don't think I can do another Bailey White book. We can do all of them
Okay.
except for Bailey White.
Well, I got one here. Can I, Elijah? You're the conch holder. May I read?
Yeah, go
another
for it.
one?
Go for it.
This one, I don't see how you can not like this one. Okay, this is my favorite. I suppose it began with the book order form. Do you remember the book order form? They came to your elementary school classroom, order 3 or more books, and get a poster of a basket of puppies or a dangling kitten with the words, "Hang in there, baby." This is how Garfield's 15th This is how Garfield's 15th collection, Garfield Worldwide, ended up in my hands. It was a gray cover, normal color, and differently shaped than any of the other books I'd ever seen. Garfield was on the cover, a globe of earth on his stomach, and the thought bubble over his head read, "Your hemisphere or mine?" I opened the book and started laughing. My world was never the same. By the end of the year, I'd have all the books and dozens of Garfield and Odie dolls. I'd bring a Garfield-shaped cake into school on Garfield's birthday, June 19th, only to burst into tears when I realized I'd have to cut the cake into pieces. I'd name my sister's kitten Normal. I'd wait every Saturday morning for 11 a.m. when Garfield and Friends would air. Garfield was my first full-blown pop culture obsession. Why? It begins with the strip. Garfield was the first comic to make me laugh out loud. Jim Davis's gags are such a heady mix of verbal and visual humor. He can make you laugh with a patented Garfield one-liner or a pie in the face from an unexpected location. Who was throwing those spluts? Garfield's universe felt like a place where anything could happen, and as long as it was funny, everything would be okay the next day. Then there's the character of Garfield himself, an ironic detached cat who is mean to everyone and somehow all the more lovable for it. When I was a child, he was the closest thing I had to an id, able to poke fun at everyone around him, the coolest person in the room at all times. Yet, just as often, be the butt of the joke, the victim of the universe. There was no question that he ran John Arbuckle's household in that way real cats do. Poor, meek John, hapless in every way, downright tragic if you remove Garfield from the equation, as anyone who has read Garfield minus Garfield can tell you. When I was in 3rd grade, we all had to write novels for school. I turned in an 8-chapter odyssey about Garfield traveling to the past, present, and future in a time machine. This novel is now lost to time, but the entire thing was in rhyming couplets. My first lyric writing. I'm not saying Garfield is responsible for Hamilton, but Garfield himself would probably take credit. And now you hold in your hands a Garfield 40th anniversary collection. I hope you enjoy it, and if this is your first Garfield collection, maybe you've ordered it on a book order form to get a free poster. Well, get ready, kid. Your world will never be the same. Siempre, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
And that was
Bailey White,
Bailey White in
from Mama Makes Up Her Mind.
very
It's a pretty
nice.
good story.
Yeah.
I couldn't find that one in the book.
That's actually
What's the name of that chapter?
It's called Forward. Yeah, actually, that was a foreword that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote for the Garfield 40th anniversary. Stefan Heck tweeted that a couple of months ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. That's pretty nutty.
Did you not mention it on last episode?
I don't know.
I think you did.
Well,
maybe not.
anyway, it's very funny to me.
Yes, it is very funny.
I want to read.
I'm gonna
again.
I'm gonna take that contra back real quick. Why the southern accent, Ansel? I gotta ask.
I was trying to act like Dylan. I was trying to, for the sake of continuity.
He's
and
cramping my
consistency.
style.
Dead on the road. My mother eats things she finds dead on the road. Her standards are high. She claims she won't eat anything that's not a fresh kill, but I don't trust her. I require documentation. I won't eat it unless she can tell me the model and tag number of the car that struck it. Mama is an adventurous and excellent cook, and we have feasted not only on doves, turkey, and quail, but robins, squirrels, and only once a possum. I draw the line at snakes. But it was still wiggling when I got there, she argues. Let's try it just this once. I have a white sauce with dill and mustard. No snakes, I say. And she won't even slow down for armadillos, although they are the most common dead animal on the road these days. They look too stupid to eat, she says. We have a prissy Aunt Eleanor who comes to dinner every third Friday, and we always get out the linen and polish the silver when she comes. She expects it. Last month, we sat her down to an elegant meal complete with the spode china and camellias in a crystal bowl. The quail are delicious, my aunt sighed, and if I haven't found a single piece of shot, how do you manage it? Intersection of 93 and Baggs Road, recites Mama. Green late model pickup, Florida tag. Have another one, and some rice. So there you go.
Like, at the end of every little vignette, she could have put, like, there's an understood yuck, yuck, yuck. Like HYUCK, HYUCK, HYUCK.
Yeah, and that's comes from a real place, and you're valid in thinking that. Because I remember, like, there was one where, like, the young sister, like, who was like a physicist, and she comes in and, like, you know, they were out on the dock, and she's like, well, it's cold, and it's late or early spring, and it's cold and night, but I can still, if I try hard enough, I can make it seem like it's a summer day, just like old times, or something like that. But yeah, it was just kind of like, no, that's not, you know, try that again. But yeah, it was fine. It was
not fine.
yeah,
No.
I mean, you know, it's just
You don't have to defend it just because I don't know why you feel like you need to defend it.
I guess I feel like you can't appreciate some sort of, like, memento of, like, your love for your family, or like somebody's love for their family. Like, that's always a good thing. Like,
That's fine for Bailey White.
yeah,
I don't give a shit about her family.
yeah. And that's fine. But, like, I mean, you could appreciate it on that level, I would think, right?
No. It's dull as hell.
Okay.
I mean, I'm fine with Dylan not appreciating it. I mean, I think I do for some of those
Now,
reasons.
Let me
but
be clear. Not only do I not appreciate it, I actively despise this book. Carry on.
And I'm fine with that as well. It really isn't as good as I thought it was going to be, at all. And it's like Ansel said, it's fine, just fine. I'm not going to seek it out. I won't be, I'm not very likely to recommend it to anyone.
Well, I mean, this is the first woman author you've ever read, so maybe you just hate women.
And see, this is why I always say we shouldn't read books written by women. They're all this. No, that's a joke. I've got something to say about this book. Unless you were
Go
going
for
somewhere else
it.
with
No,
that,
go
Elijah.
for it. Go for it. I got nothing.
There's a couple of things that are just kind of racist about this book. I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. The fact that it's called "And Other Dangers of Southern Living," and it states that unironically, and this takes place. It never states a year. There's at least in the 90s. It encompasses her life. She's born in 1950. So during her life, you have, the civil rights movement occurring in the occurring in the South, and some of the other dangers of Southern living at that time were lynch mobs, water cannons, dogs.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
Absolutely, yeah.
And it did not mention those other dangers of Southern living.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of that. When I read the subtitle, I was just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, tone deaf for sure.
And there's a couple other things. One, I've got two things here. One, they're both in the same section where it's talking about how they, how Mama got really involved in politics. This first one here, it's not so much directly racist, but it acknowledges institutional racism and then just moves forward. So
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and it made me cringe too. So, but
let me just read this and we can talk about it. This is right at the beginning of the chapter called Campaign Promises. It says, a few years ago, my mother got interested in politics. A very fine man named Vernon Bryan was running for a high political office in our region. There was only one problem. This is South Georgia, and Vernon Bryan is black. I don't know how Mama got so wise without getting any smarter, but she was sure he would win. And yeah, that kind of put bad taste in my mouth. The fact that it could state something so blatantly, and with I don't know, there's no sense of irony.
Yeah, no self-awareness or anything.
And it's she's chiding her mother for even thinking that, I don't know. It just.
Yeah, it was exactly what it, the fact that the language was, there was one problem though. It's
yeah.
Really? Is that the word you want to use? It was crap.
Yeah. And then
garbage.
Later on in the same chapter, it goes on to talk about how I think they're going to Atlanta for a campaign rally, and this is some of the most, I don't know, it's one of the most racist things I've ever read. It says, we could smell the barbecue and hear the rap music before we even got to the city limits.
Totally. Yeah, I remember that too. That is, it's garbage.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so Bailey Whitestock, I'm not going to defend this book anymore. Yeah, it's not good.
As far as the election, is that not? Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. I'm going to stay away from that one.
So you're not going to contribute anything?
No. Mm-mm. I don't think it's racist. I think it's very. I think it is, in its matter of fact statement, it is irony, or.
Well, maybe the first part, but the second part, the thing Dylan read most recently.
The rap and the barbecue in Atlanta. Yeah, that's uncalled for.
Yeah, it's racist even, wouldn't you say?
Tone deaf, yeah.
That's not what I said.
Not the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's racist. I don't think it's racist. I don't think it's racist.
I'm going to help you out here.
I don't. Yeah, as a white male, I'm not going to comment on what is racism and what isn't. So.
That's
it's kind of a cop out.
Is it a cop out? But it's a safe cop out.
Double, triple cop out. It's
yeah.
But sure, whatever.
All cop outs are bastards. There's nothing there. But yeah, that the fact that woman's name's Bailey White, which is the whitest name I've ever heard, and for her to write that,
if it had been
rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
If If it had been Mackenzie White, that would have been like the only whiter name.
Yeah. But the other thing about this book is it really doesn't, I don't think it lends itself to book club material. There's not a lot to really discuss.
So
and
are you saying this is a 30-minute episode of Book Club?
I'm saying it's a short one, but
Yeah.
I mean, there really isn't. If you like take it, as you said, Ansel, as like a snapshot of or a photo album of her family and her childhood, and you just read it and take it at that face value alone, then yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to talk about.
That's true. It's like if this were a photo book, you would pull it off the shelf, look at it, and go, "Oh, that's weird. That's pretty crazy." And then you put it back on the shelf and never talk about it or say anything about it ever to anybody.
So
this book is like someone sitting you down in their house and forcing you to view this photo book.
No, still I still see it as like in her style, like doing driveway moments for NPR or whatever. It's not really sitting you down. It's just like this is a break from the horrible things that are going on in the world. This is like a nice, pastoral family portrait. Not so much like, for a captive audience. It's just for, just as a reprieve from all of the horrors of the world. I mean, that's kind of how I see its form and all that stuff. Yeah, whatever.
I would rather be exposed to the horrors of the world than read this book.
Yeah, I mean, but you need a break from that.
Not to read this book. Not.
But okay.
There were even like a couple of like little tastes of cannibalism in this book that didn't even
It didn't move the needle.
Didn't move the needle at all, and like that's saying something. Like I didn't even highlight them. I thought about it. I was just like, no. And in case, dear listener, if you're wondering, Bailey White she comes off very staunchly anti-cannibalism.
Well, I'm just flipping through the pages now, looking at the titles again of the different stories. And because I also did not take notes at all.
Well, I've got a couple more highlights.
Well, go for it.
Or
Go for
lowlights, should I say?
Go for it.
Yep.
Easy there, Odie. I think, just go ahead and take it, since I think neither Ansel or I have a strong opinion of this book one way or the other.
All right.
So go for it.
This is actually a section where I actually kind of agreed with Bailey White. It said, riding home from the fair, I think how strange and wonderful, how much flash and strut and style, and what shades of blue and green and buff there would be if all humans were banished from this earth, and the world were peopled entirely by prize-winning chickens. Don't necessarily care about the prize-winning chickens bit, but I mean, if all the people being banished from this world included Bailey White, then that sounds like a wonderful world. But no, humanity is garbage and is a cancer. And I do agree with Bailey White's stance that, we should get rid of all the people.
There's one the one about the turkeys. That was pretty charming, I think. Like where she had a fever. And these ornithologists, they were studying these wild turkeys, but they got too close and the mother
Abandoned
fled.
the eggs. Yep.
And so they got the eggs and they put them in bed with her who had a fever. I didn't think that this actually happened, but they hatched and she had all these little turkeys following her around everywhere. That was a fun story. I like that. That was good. Good job, Bailey White.
I like the story of the Uncle Jim buddy cutting off his finger and it getting lost in the. Is that what you were referring to with the cannibalism?
That was one of the bits of the cannibalism, yeah. Because
Well, what was the other one?
Uncle Jim Buddy tells Bailey not to let her mother eat the finger. The other one, there was a line where Bailey White was talking about how, like, she was scared by horror movies, and they had gone to see Silence of the Lambs, her and her mother.
Oh, yeah.
And she wanted to, she thought about getting in bed with her mother because she was scared, and it likened the mother's snoring to, like, Satan eating human flesh, gobbling and...
Her blood-curdling snoring with its gargling and squawking and its terrifying pauses is like the sound the devil might make if he were alternately relishing and strangling on a pound of human flesh.
Yeah.
It's pretty well written.
That's a quick find.
Yeah. It's not a long book. You said it was too long. It's extremely short.
Yeah, no, it was too long.
Let's see.
We somehow have 40 minutes of content, though. I don't know how we've been able to stretch it out this far.
I do.
We're standing right now.
I do have the one thing that really made me chuckle, and it was the part talking about Mama writing her memoirs. And she was writing them on old envelopes with a blue ballpoint pen, but she would make her grocery list on the other side of the envelope, and she kept leaving her memoirs at the checkout counter at Piggly Wiggly. That made me chuckle a bit. Yuck, yuck. Yeah, that got some yucks from me.
Yeah, I don't think I ever laughed when I read this book. Like I said, it's just like, that's okay. That's weird. That's not what I would choose to write about, but
the last highlight I have here is it's just proof that these folks are either completely made up or just godless heathens. It says, we have had a little problem with mice in the house, and Mama prefers snakes to cats as mousers. Snakes are silent, they don't trip you up rubbing against your legs, and they don't shed hair. Now, anyone that would prefer a snake to a beautiful, cuddly, lovable kitten, yeah, either you're an alien, you're not from this world, or you're just garbage. You're human garbage.
Dylan's 33 cats have like given him the toxoplasmosis or whatever it is that makes you like cat zombie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happened to you.
I'm okay with that.
So yeah, cat zombie Dylan.
I don't see you with any buddies riding around on your shoulders or anything. So
I don't. It doesn't mean I don't have buddies riding around on my shoulders just because you don't see them.
Sorry. Everybody knows that the de facto coolest character on Trailer Park Boys is in fact Bubbles.
Mm-hmm. With his kitties.
He's the most memorable one. I wouldn't say best.
I said coolest.
I think Ricky is the coolest.
No.
Yeah, which one is the one who's always
Julian.
drinking the rum and coke?
Julian's
Julian?
the coolest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely the coolest.
Well,
he's the one I relate to the most. I see myself in Julian more than.
Well, I guess if you're Julian, I would be Bubbles. That makes Elijah Ricky.
I guess that's about the size of it, I would say.
Hey, I resemble
Elijah,
that remark. I resemble that remark.
Such a Ricky thing to say.
No. If we're going by your text the other night, you would be Leahy.
That's true.
I'll cut that out. It was just
You can leave it. Yeah, the actor died recently.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's great.
Yeah, I had a little drinky poo. Guys, I got nothing else to say about Bailey White's book. I don't think we picked the good one.
Well,
I think there's got to be funnier Bailey White out there, and this isn't it.
I'm not gonna find out, to be honest. Like, even if you say the next time it's your conch time, hey, I'm doing another Bailey White book, I'm just gonna be like, no, I'm not.
Well, that's not in the spirit that we agreed to do this. I'm not gonna pick another Bailey White book. I'm not a sadist.
Yeah, I won't be reading it again if neither of y'all pick Bailey White. So this is.
I mean,
we're
I definitely
banging that gong on Bailey White.
Yeah, but I definitely for my own
swiping right on Bailey White. There's your episode title.
Yeah, but for my next.
Wait, I think it's swiping left. I don't know either. How do you cancel people?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't do that. That's too new school. But I, for one, am curious as to where the funny Bailey White book is.
It may not exist, Elijah. That might be.
It's got to. She was funny on the radio. Or maybe my sense of humor has just changed drastically. We'll see. But I won't take you down that road with me.
Yeah, you have some introspection, it sounds like. You need to get some...
you need to go out west and find yourself.
You need to get a little peyote, and you need to, pitch a tent, and come back and tell us if your sense of humor has changed or not.
Yuck,
we need to continue reading with Bailey White.
Well, are we ready to throw ratings?
Wait, hold on a second. I'm going to Google Bailey White fun facts. Because if there's one thing I feel like this episode is missing, it's fun facts.
Fun facts, yeah.
Fun fact, she went to Florida State University. Go Knowles.
Yeah, that's fun.
Fun facts, White turned to fiction with her novel Quite a Year for Plums. And she said, I like the idea of starting with just anything and being free to just let the story roll out from there. That's a fun fact. 1999, she took a break from her teaching position to devote herself to her writing career full-time from her family home in Thomasville. So, yeah, those are the 3 funnest facts. Okay, ratings?
Thank you, Ansel.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll go first. It was my book. And I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 smoked mullets.
Okay.
The smoked mullet story is the one right at the beginning that Dylan read for us.
Sure.
And it doesn't get any better than that, actually, throughout the book. So, I mean, but it's not, to me, terrible. It's not a portrait of the dangers of Southern living as it claims to be, as Dylan pointed out as well, but it is a portrait of a Southern family, and take it at face value. For some reason, Southern people think they can just write anything and it becomes literature.
Yeah, that is the thing. Yeah, it's like, the Black's Rule rating that Dylan gave for As I Lay Dying might have been better put here because, the whole book is like, this experience matters. And
and like I mentioned earlier, like I kind of like this book showed me how good As I Lay Dying is.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic. Really?
Fantastic.
So I give it 3 out of 5 smoked mullets. It's to me, it's not mullets. To me, it's nothing special and it's nothing terrible.
Okay. Dylan, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I still need a little bit of time to percolate on this.
I got one. I'm going to give it the coveted Jerry Jones saying, I want me some glory hole, because this book came across it as like somebody who had been there when there were glory hole days and when there wasn't, and having said that, they wanted them some glory hole. And so, yeah.
I think that's a part of leadership, is to have some of the guys that have gone before that have been disappointed to share it with everybody involved. For me, it's a reminder. I, too, have been here 23 years. And it is a reminder, I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole. So I have that perspective.
But yeah, Jerry Jones with a text or a speech bubble saying, "I want me some glory hole."
That might be the best rating ever on Book Club.
I don't know. We've had some good ones. We'd have to go back and look.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna steal a rating.
Okay.
But maybe you know. My memory's a little hazy. I want to say it was like Spin Magazine, or no, Pitchfork. It was Pitchfork Magazine. Did a review for that band that did that Are You Gonna Be My Girl?
Is that Jet?
Jet.
Yes. Jet Pitchfork review. Okay, so yeah, it's they gave the album Shine On by Jet. This is pitchfork.com. 0.0 rating. And the review is just a YouTube video of a monkey peeing in its own mouth. So I'm going to steal that review from pitchfork.com. And I think it really says all that it needs to say.
Okay.
Say what you will about Pitchfork. That is a fantastic own.
That's an all-timer.
That's pretty awesome. So we're wrapping this up.
Well, we need a recommendation for another book.
No, somebody take the conch.
It's Dylan next, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is my turn next with the conch, and I'm going to hopefully give us a little bit something more entertaining, a little bit more juicy. The book I've chosen for the next episode of Book Club is entitled "The Many-Headed Hydra: Sailors, Slaves, Commoners, and the Hidden History of the Revolutionary Atlantic" by Peter Linebaugh and Marcus Rediker.
Sounds interesting as fuck, dude.
So yeah, it's about fucking pirates,
Nice.
like real life pirates and shit.
Hell yeah,
That
bro.
sounds great.
So yeah, we've got that to look forward to in 2 weeks. Until then, guys, get on that iTunes. We got a link on bookclubcast.com. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating and review. Give us some fan mail, bookclubcast@gmail.com. If you give us some fan mail, we'll read it on the air. Maybe in a southern accent, maybe not in a southern accent. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what the narrative voice
Southern
lends
accent
itself
fan
to.
mail is for Patreon subscribers only. Otherwise, you just get it in whatever this is.
But most importantly, tell a friend about Book Club. If you're enjoying the show and you have a friend that you think would enjoy the show, recommend it to them. Tie them down and play it. Force them.
But
Like,
not this
and-
episode.
Well, I think this is a good, fun episode. It's a little short. But yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah, the episode with Los Lonely Boys. Play on that one. And you can find us on Reddit, r/bookclubcast.
All right. Anything else, folks, before we mosey on down the road and get us some unsweetened iced tea at Roses? Have ourselves some smoked mullet and some roadkill.
Do a real Southern accent. Do a real
Now-
Mississippi-style Southern accent.
Now, Saban needs to run the damn ball. And they got Tua Tagovailoa out there trying to throw these Hail Marys every dang play. Run the ball.
There ain't no sense in it. You got to run a Hail Mary every stinking play.
Look, black men can't play quarterback. They ain't smart enough. Seriously, I've heard people say that. Yeah, so I might cut that, but no, that is something that people
you
believe.
might got that? Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
I'm not saying that is something I believe, but that is
Yes.
something I have heard people say.
Yeah, I understand how racism works.
Saban needs to run the damn ball, though. That ain't football, just tossing it down. That's why they lost the dang national championship. They wasn't running the dang ball.
See, a Georgia accent is closer to that than like that. That's more of a North Carolina Lindsey Graham thing that you were doing, where it's like.
See, I was thinking like Savannah, like southern Georgia.
Yeah, but I mean that's just like the depiction of it in the pictures. The Georgia accents are similar to Mississippi. Mississippi seems to have its
I
own.
think you're more familiar with your North Georgia Squidbilly kind of.
Yeah, right.
Peanuts and hairdos.
Yeah.
Anyway, are we done with the show?
I think so.
Okay. Thanks for listening.
Well, you got to give the conch back to Elijah, and he can close us out.
Well, I'm going to run this dang conch over to you. I'm not going to pass it. I'm going to run it. I'm going to run that conch.
He's a downhill conch master, that's for sure. Playing downhill book club.
Had that pussy foaming like a shaving mug.
7, 8, 9 pound turkey leg.
I told her you got 3 choices: in ya, on ya, sucking or ducking. Yeah, all right.
What the hell?
That is something that Elijah and I, our former boss, said to us in the
all
break
of those
room.
things.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Had that pussy foaming like a shaving mug.
I had to do like the matching game with those words and what that actually meant. And, ducking made me chuckle.
In ya, on ya, sucking or ducking.
Wasn't he just like this disgusting, decrepit old?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, all right. You've wasted another perfectly good hour with us here at Book Club, the podcast. We appreciate your time. Do find us on iTunes for that 5-star rating. Then come and find us on Reddit and give us a real rating if you want. We love you. Thanks for listening. Say goodbye, brothers.
Goodbye,
brothers.